Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. If you see my face, it means it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And for today I've prepared a list of 12 clone fragrances. Now half of them, 6 of them are pretty old, they've been around for a while, but I think they deserve to be mentioned today. And the other half are brand new or relatively new clone scents. I'm going to start this video off by showing you one of the clone fragrances that has been around for a while, and it comes from the brand of Paris Corner and their Ameer line, and it's called Frenetic Delicieuse. And this one is heavily inspired by Fève Délicieuse from Dior. And it's a very nice, very dark unisex fragrance that's great for the ones of you out there who love a gourmand scent. It has a bit of aromatic properties, has a slight hint of freshness, but the scent itself is all about the fruity sweetness and the other sweet notes. You get a nice cherry note, you get lots of vanilla, lots of amber, lots of tonka bean, a caramel note, maybe a hint of leather as well. But it's very dark and very sweet. You really need to like sweet fragrances in order to enjoy Frenetic Delicieuse. Comes nicely packaged, the quality is good, the performance is very good. You get a magnetic cap all around, a great alternative for those of you who are looking for a clone or something that will get you close to Fève Délicieuse. Now let's move on to something that's brand new, that comes from the brand of Paris Corner, and it's called Mawj Appletini, a member of the Mawj line. And looking at the bottle, you can probably guess that this is cloning a Kilian fragrance, and in this case it's Apple Brandy on the Rocks. And it's a pretty good clone of the original scent. As you can see, fantastic sprayer, and this thing projects really nicely. This is a very strong fragrance. You get a very strong green apple note, you get a very strong pineapple note, you get lots of booziness from a rum and a brandy note with this fragrance. Feels really boozy, quite sharp. There's a bit of spiciness, also get quite a bit of vanillic sweetness. All around, you know, a nicely done clone of the Kilian fragrance. Very strong projecting scent. Longevity wise is not a beast, but still give me nice 8 hours of performance, but this is really loud in the first 2, maybe even up to 3 hours. The next one that I'm going to show you will be again one of those clones that has been around for a while. It comes from the brand of Lattafa, and it's called Ishq Gold, and it's member of the original Lattafa Pride line. And I absolutely love this fragrance, and I love to mention it from time to time in my videos. This fragrance is a clone of Rosendo's Mathieu No. 5, and it's done really nicely. Will get you very close to the original fragrance. If you're not familiar with the original scent, it's a very interesting mix of a very strong leather note, a very strong suede leather note, a very strong vanilla note, and a very strong incense note as well. It's a very interesting, dark, sophisticated, sexy scent that's perfectly unisex, and it's a beast of a performer. Longevity wise, at least 10 hours of performance, very loud projection in the first 2, maybe even up to 3 hours. All around a great you know, unisex offering from the brand of Lattafa. Just make sure that you like fragrances with a strong suede leather note and a strong incense note. If you love those 2 notes, and also if you like vanilla based fragrances, then definitely check out Ishq Ishu Gold from Lattafa. The next new clone fragrance that I'm going to show you in this video today again comes from the brand of Paris Corner, and it's part of the Charuto line, and it's called Charuto Regal Reserve. And this one is heavily inspired by Mawj Royal Tobacco. Now this is not a straight up clone of Royal Tobacco, but it's something that will get you similar to the original fragrance. It's quite a complex scent, although not as complex as the original. This one feels kind of soapy. Feels kind of aromatic. There's a bit of a green touch in here, a hint of a tobacco note, not super strong tobacco note. You also get some spices, you get some sweetness from a vanilla note. All around a very interesting fragrance that again has a bit of a soapy vibe. Performance is good, projection is good, price is very affordable, comes packaged in the same way that the other members of the Charuto line come packaged, and it's been actually I've been quite impressed with the Charuto Regal Reserve. Next is time for another clone fragrance that has been you know, around for a while, and in fact it's one of the very first Lattafa fragrances that I got in my collection, one of the very first clone scents that I got into my collection. It comes from the brand of Lattafa, and it's called Ameer Oud Intense, or Intense Oud, as it's the full name of the fragrance. I fell in love with this scent immediately after trying it for the first time, and I'm still in love with this fragrance. I really like it, and it's to this day one of my most favorite Lattafa fragrances. It's a clone with a twist of Mesa Margiela's by the Fireplace, and it's done really nicely. You get that very oudhy, very smoky fragrance with lots of vanillic and sugary sweetness. It's a fantastic performer. It comes, it's very affordable. To this day, it remains one of the cheaper Lattafa fragrances that you can get. Feels perfectly unisex again. It's great for the cold weather. A very cozy fragrance that has very nice quality, especially considering how cheap it is. Again, to this day, this is one of my most favorite Lattafa fragrances, and I like to mention this one from time to time in my videos. My next suggestion for a clone that's pretty brand new, it's been around only for a few months, comes from the brand of Fragrance World and French Avenue in this case, and it's called Lumire Garon. And this fragrance is the best clone of Dolce & Gabbana, the one luminous night that you can actually get at the moment. Very impressive fragrance from French Avenue. Comes really nicely packaged, has fantastic performance, and will get you very close to the original fragrance. You get that very Middle Eastern smelling, DNA of the original Luminous Night. It's smoky, it's sweet, it's slightly spicy, slightly green. You get a very nice, strong, sweet dates note with this fragrance. All around, this is a very sexy scent that's great for the cold weather, and it can serve as a great date night scent. Quality is absolutely fantastic, comes uniquely packaged all around, a great offering from the brand of French Avenue and Fragrance World. The next clone fragrance that has been around for a while that I'm going to mention today and that I really like a lot, again comes from the brand of Fragrance World, and it's called Jack of Clubs. And this one is very heavily inspired by La Nuit de l'Homme Blue Electric. Can also serve as a great replacement for the OG La Nuit de l'Homme. Feels slightly fresher compared to the OG La Nuit de l'Homme. Feels very similar to Blue Electric. You get that very fresh opening that lacks just a hint of the freshness of the original fragrance. This one has a ginger note just like the original, but it's slightly toned down. You get a bit of citrusy freshness in the opening of this fragrance, and then on the dry down this becomes a little bit sweeter compared to the original fragrance, but other than that it feels very similar. You get that creamy woodiness that comes from the combination of some lavender and some cedar oud, and feels kind of powdery on the dry down. Very sexy fragrance that's great for all year usage, maybe apart from the hottest months of the year. And again, another fragrance that can be used as a great date night scent. Performance is pretty similar to the original fragrance. All around, this is a very nice creation from Fragrance World. And moving on to one brand new clone that comes from the brand of Fragrance World again, and it's called Nuke 2.0. And this one is heavily inspired by Spice Bomb Extreme from Viktor & Rolf. Has great spray, as you can see. Comes in a very interesting looking bottle that again looks like a hand grenade, but slightly different type of a hand grenade compared to the original Spice Bomb. This feels more like a twist, not a straight up clone. This feels a little bit stronger on the cinnamon note, lacks a bit of the depth and a bit of the sweetness of the original fragrance. This is slightly fresher, slightly more airy and spicy take on the original DNA, but nonetheless smells absolutely great. Unique bottle design, performance is great, especially the projection because of that strong cinnamon note. It's quite strong in the first 2 hours. It's very affordable all around. Another very good creation from Fragrance World. Now let's move on to a couple of Armaf scents that I'm going to show you today. An older Armaf release will be Club Genui Iconic, and this is a great alternative for Bleu de Chanel EDP. Of course, people will say it lacks the quality of Bleu de Chanel, and it does lack the quality of Bleu de Chanel, but then this costs at least a third of the price, if not less than a third of the price of the original. The opening is slightly different. On the dry down, this actually gets very close to the Chanel EDP scent, and this actually performs way better than the original fragrance, especially when it comes to projection. This projects way better compared to the OG Bleu de Chanel. At this point in time, Chanel fragrances tend to cost hundreds of dollars or euros, and Club Genui Iconic is a great alternative if you want to smell similar to Bleu de Chanel EDP. And the next suggestion for something that's relatively new to the markets, again from the brand of Armaf, will be Takim Uomo Rosso. And this fragrance is very heavily inspired by Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir, and this is probably my most favorite clone of Invictus Victory Elixir. It's not a one-to-one clone, feels slightly different, especially in the opening. To my nose, this feels slightly more fresh, slightly more citrusy in the opening, but on the dry down actually gets very, very close to the original scent. It carries that very signature sweetness of the original scent. It feels very modern, feels very youthful, very playful, and has really, really good performance. And also the quality here is very good, apart from the bottle design. Price is pretty low, pretty affordable. And moving on to the last two scents that will both come from the brand of Zimaya. The first one has been around for a while. It took me actually quite a while to get my hands on a bottle of this one. But you know, I have it now in my collection and I've had it for some time now. It's from the Royal line and it's called Royal Paragon. And this fragrance is cloning Parfum de Marly's Layton, as you can probably guess looking at the bottle design. And this is probably the most inexpensive, the cheapest clone of Layton that I have in my collection. I paid something like 13 euros for my bottle, and at that price point this is an absolute steal. Again, doesn't feel like a one-to-one clone. In the opening this feels slightly darker compared to the original fragrance from Parfums de Marly. On the dry down lacks a bit of the sweetness of Layton itself, but other than that this smells very, very similar. The quality is good here, the performance is good, the projection is good, comes nicely packaged. You get even a metal cap on the fragrance itself. And again, the best thing out of all is that this is super, super inexpensive. So my last suggestion for a clone that has been around for a while from Zimaya, Royal Paragon. And my last suggestion in today's video, this time for a clone that's relatively new to the markets, again from the brand of Zimaya. It's called Mazaaj Infused. And this is something that will get you very close to Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Not a straight up one-to-one clone to Imagination, but still something done in a very, very similar style. It's a very, very fresh, very bright, very uplifting fragrance. Just keep in mind though that you need to like the note of ginger in order to enjoy Mazaaj Infused, because this has a super strong ginger note. It also has lots of citrusy freshness. There's some bergamot note in here. There's an orange note. There's a bit of a neroli as well, which gives it sort of a clean, fresh vibe that adds to even more freshness, that you get from the citrusy notes. And also on the dry down, this gets a bit oudhy, and there's a heavy dose of ambroxan. There's not much sweetness with this fragrance, so again, you really need to like fragrances that doesn't have much sweetness in them. But this actually is done pretty nicely. It has a very good performance, especially considering how light of a scent profile it carries, and especially when it comes to projection. And I think this strong ginger note helps with the projection of this fragrance. All around a very interesting, offering, very interesting creation from the brand of Zimaya. So my last suggestion in today's video for a brand new or relatively new clone will be Zimaya Mazaaj Infused. So guys, in today's video I showed you a total of 12 clone fragrances, half of them brand new or relatively new. The other half are been around for a while, but I think all of them are good enough to be mentioned today. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.